Hello. For today, I thought I would make some earrings for the fall. I haven't done that before, and I think my wife needs some nice earrings for the fall. And I started the idea because years ago I made this guy. A little hard to see on that light. Let me see if I can change. So there you go. There he is. So you can see he's kind of a cute little ghost. This is just a shelf sitter that I made just for an idea. Saw it somewhere, so I thought I'd try it. So I thought I could turn that guy into a nice little earring. And so I've turned him into this. Complete little mouth on him. And then I thought, well, since it's fall, I don't want just Halloween. I could do fall. So I made a little pumpkin. And so today we're going to make both a ghost and a pumpkin. But to start off with, the ghost, what I did was I took, you can't see it, took a block of white clay. Now that is actually 1/4 of 1/4 of a block of Primo. Now, by what I mean, if you look at a block of Primo, it's got it's split on the back side. It's actually split. And you can kind of break off one of these quarters. And I then cut that in half using my blade, like so. And I took one of those and cut that in half. So, and that is the piece that I'm working with for my ghost. Now, this guy is actually simple to make. And since I've been working with him, I got him a little bit soft so I can kind of manipulate him. I'm just going to try and get it into mostly a round shape. There's several ways to do that. Probably the easiest is to just put it in my hands and roll it around. See if I can put enough pressure on it and get him reasonably round. Now then, I need him a little tall and thin, so I'm going to squeeze the sides to make him thinner. And I haven't decided how to do the base. I've tried a couple things now. But let's make him a little thinner. And then I need to squeeze the top and get a long piece for the top. Do that, I'm going to roll him on my tile. Just back and forth, trying to get a long extension on that top piece. I want it to come reasonably out and get pointed on the end. Yeah, it looks good. See, it looks compared to the guy I did before. Well, I got a little bit aggressive on the head, so shove him back together just a wee bit. Shrink him down, give him a little longer. And since earrings are nicest if they are not exactly symmetric, but kind of opposing, that guy's got his top going that way, so I'm going to take this guy and reduce him a little more because he's not moving well. Get that reasonably thin and give him a twist that goes the other way. So that he's kind of got that sort of a look. And so now you can see the little head pieces go in opposite directions, and this one isn't exactly the same. And I tend to get a little OCD on that, so I will squeeze him some more, reduce him, and give him that little bit of a curl in that top. Now the next thing I do is I give him a mouth. To do that, I'm going to take one of my stylus points here. See how that's going to be too big a mouth, I think. Way too big a mouth. I'm going to take a ball stylus, about where I think the mouth ought to be, and press it in. Kind of open it up a little bit. Press it down there so that I get him a nice open mouth. I have no idea what he's saying, but he needs an open mouth, I've decided. Because it just looks better that way. And I'm actually making it larger than the mouth really is, or than the stylus really is, but that's okay, because I want it that way. Then I'm going to take some black clay. And I've tried several ways to do this. And the one we're going to try today is I'm going to take one of my temper cutters. And I need to get the black clay fairly thin. Let it top the sheet slightly thinner than medium setting. I'm going to take down one more notch. Not quite the thinnest setting, but thinner than medium. And that should give me a very thin sheet of clay. I'm going to work on this file. That one's got a lot of stuff on it. And I'm going to take the Kemper cutter. This is a teardrop cutter. I don't know if you can see it very closely or not. And this eye is going to be way too big. And it dawned on me I'm thinking of the wrong thing, but that's okay. We will put that down there. We're going to come in with a knife and work on those eyes a bit. Okay, that is more clay than I wanted, so I'm going to cut that in half. Both of them roughly in half. Off the tops. And put it together. Roll it into a ball. So I've got it reasonably well rolled. I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut it in half so I get equal amounts of clay. Okay, I've got him in half. I'm going to roll each half into a tiny little ball. Not quite a little ball. There, we got a ball. And that should be another ball. Will be in a minute. Should be about the same size. I think he's going to try and be a little bigger. But we'll work on that when we get there. I'll make sure I get them roughly the same size, slightly ball shaped. Needs to be trimmed just ever so slightly to get him back to the same size. I'm turning it into another ball shape. Okay, those guys are about the same size. I'm going to flatten him just ever so slightly, because that's going to happen when I put him on there. Take the eyeball, find the mouth, and just put an eyeball there. I'm not looking sideways, you're looking up. Eyeball, put him over there. His eyes are a little bit mismatched. There we go. That's a little better. Get him a little off. Yeah, it's about right. Pressing down with my fingernail to get him well stuck in there. Very close. So far, so much for the ghost. Okay, now we've got him made. What I do is I'm going to take an eye pin, one of my eye pins. Now, I always put a little bit of a kink in the end so that it can't pull out too easy. Because if you get a little bit of tug on these, I don't want it just sliding off the eye pin. Grab this guy, come in on the back side of the, yep, where I put it. Started back here, pressed into this guy, that eye pin. Even there just a little bit, far enough to hold. one of my tools. I press the clay around that so that that seals up well. Keep the pressure on. And that's the ghost. Now, the ghost, sometimes you look at a ghost and you think, yeah, he's a little too pale. Yes, I'm being silly. But if you want to put a little blush on the ghost, you can take a tool I stole from my wife that I've now lost. So I'll take another one, like this. You get from her cosmetics, and some blush from her cosmetics. Pick up a little bit of blush. Hold my ghost. Give him just a little bit of a color in his cheeks here. He doesn't need a lot, but it will help him to look a little more reasonable. Help him to show up a little bit too. Somebody who's more used to working with. Blush can probably do a better job of applying this and making it look right than I am. We'll leave that up to you. So now you can see my ghost. They've got a tiny little bit of blush on their cheeks. We've got an eye pin in them. And so I can take those two guys and pop them in the oven. Got a couple of options on how to pop them in. One of which is to hang them from a support piece and just let them go in that way. The other thing I wanted to make was a pumpkin. Just for fall, I can make a pumpkin. And yes, there's a way you can turn your pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern, but for now, we'll start with a pumpkin. And I made that one small. So again, I took my clay. It's orange. And I took 1/8 of that. So I've cut it here. Cut that in half. Like this. I've cut that. And one of those in half again. So you get a little tiny piece of orange clay. This makes a very small pumpkin. If you want your pumpkin to be bigger, we can use a quarter of one of the quarter blocks. And I'm going to work this guy. He's a little stiff. I haven't conditioned him yet. So he's a little stiff. I'm going to work a little bit, get him softened up. He's about where I want him. I can work with him. Just squeezing and changing its shape and forcing him to move into all kinds of patterns right now. Then we go back to making round. Make this guy, make him round. Make him round. Be careful when I do this. If I do it too hard this way, I will actually make a bicone bean. But now I got him round. But pumpkins aren't actually round, they're kind of flat. So I'm going to push him down just a little bit. Give him just a little bit of a flatness there. And then the top and the bottom are often indented. And for that, I'm going to take this guy, a large ball stylus, and press down, and an indentation there. Turn him over and press on the other side and make another small indentation on that side so that he has something. And pumpkins are actually always segmented. So I'm going to take this particular tool. This is the thinnest of them because I'm working with a very small pumpkin here. It's going to drag lines from one end to the other on this guy. turn him a little bit, however part I want, and do it again. And making sure that I get from the top center to the bottom recessed piece with these lines I'm making. Light up and can't see what I'm doing. Keep that up until I've got enough lines around the pumpkin. And I am sliding the tool a little bit as I go. That's because I'll start off here. And as they go farther down, it gets wider. So I'm sliding them down because I want about that width for my marks in the pumpkin. I'm going to go back and reinforce some of those because they got a little bit weak. They got misshapen as I did others. Don't worry if your pumpkin's not perfectly symmetrical. None of them are in nature. So now I've got that. Come back in and do a little bit of touch-up work here on the bottom and make things come together the way they should. I didn't quite get them coming out right. Step off. One other one. Get my lines coming in here well the way they should, without destroying the pumpkin too much. And have a distorted pumpkin. There we go. Now he's looking good. Set top down just a little bit more. You got the beginnings of a pumpkin. Now what I've got here is the Primo bronze clay. Don't need a lot, just a little, very little bit of it. Every pumpkin needs a stem. If you look carefully, there's a little spot on the bottom of most pumpkins where the flower was attached. So I'm looking at doing something about that. I'm going to roll out a very long, very skinny snake. Even a lot longer than that. I think that looks like it's going to work. Just for this, I'm going to cut him into 6 pieces. They're going to be short, but that's fine because the stem is not going to be very long. You take each one of these, put them together, and stack them up a little bit. The thing here is I want them to flare at the end. I'll show you what I mean by that. This guy on there. I want one. I'm only going to squeeze one in. So I'm taking this one in here and squeezing it, kind of get it together, leaving some obvious ridges there. Take this guy, put him back together. Squeeze him on one end so he's together. Then squeeze him a little bit more so he kind of sticks. Take these two that are stuck together and stick them. Squeeze that down a bit because I'm trying to keep this bottom flare open. So I'll take my stylus and kind of fan him out. These guys often go spread out a little bit on the pumpkin, on the top of the pumpkin. So we're going to do that. Put him down there. Try to get him squished into some of these points along here. Get him reasonably well down there. Not going to line up perfectly, but again, We're trying to get a good look, not necessarily perfection. Although it's nice to get it where it looks symmetric and like it more like the natural pumpkin. Now this stem is a little longer than I wanted. I'm going to squeeze him so he's a little narrower, and then I'm going to cut it off out just a little bit. Whoops, hold him loose. Thought I had him tied on better than that. He is running away from me. He's back on there. There he is on. I take my stylus and pressing him. Pushing down everywhere. So we get him back to where he's attached. We've got a little piece here. Don't need much of it. I'm going to press it down to where it's reasonably flat. Yeah. Oh, that won't be perfect for that. We've got a variety of Kemper cutters here. One of them is exactly the shape I'm thinking. One of them is the shape I'm thinking. There we go. This is the flower-shaped Kemper cutter. And again, I'm pressing into this guy and cutting out that flower shape. And taking a look to make sure I got him cut out. There we go. That's really what I need. So I'll scrape them up. And put him on the bottom of the pumpkin. Move him into position in case he's a little off center. That is my pumpkin. Topped a little bit messy yet. Squeeze him, put him back in the shape. A little fat for what I want. There we go. Now I'm going to take that guy. Again, do the same thing. Take one of my eye pins. A little bend on the bottom so it doesn't come loose easily. Not much of a bend as I wanted. So, take this guy, put him right down the stem of the pumpkin. I don't want to push him against the table, against the tile, because that's going to flatten the bottom of the pumpkin. We don't want to do that. We need to get him far enough in that he will hold. Straighten that out. Keep everything more pressed down again. Somehow I got him off center. Look down on it so I make sure I got him positioned correctly. And again, use some of my tools to seal up that opening I made when I pressed him in. Fingers also work for that. And there we have another pumpkin. And my wife has matching earrings. Thought about that. I thought I'd make one slightly larger and turn him into a jack-o'-lantern. I'm going to take 1/4 of that top quarter. Give me a larger pumpkin. Ooh. See if I can work him up and make him into a nice jack-o'-lantern. This we have Halloween coming up. He will go nicely by the ghost. So we can have one jack-o'-lantern earring and one ghost earring. And since this clay was not conditioned, it needs a little more work. And that seems to be getting her soft. My hands are typically warm, so it is easy to get the clay a little bit warmer and softer. I'm going to flatten him a little bit here into the last guy. Ball stylus. Mark here. And a mark there. Once I've done that, you can come in the needle tool, start going down, getting my creases in the pumpkin. Do that. Yes, I realized I'm flattening even more. Keep that in mind. I don't want it to get too flattened on me. It's going to be about the last one there. Okay, that's the pumpkin part of that thing. Before I put the top and the bottom piece on, I really should give him a face. Pick up my black clay. And this is going to be fun because I'm going to go ahead and cut out my teardrops. Look out, there my teardrops. Get 3. There we go. Now we got 3 teardrops. And I need a small piece. Need a big piece. Small piece of clay. And look at these teardrops. I can cut them off the white part and get something close to the triangle. And I've got triangles. Those up should give me something that'll work for an eye. And what I'm looking at. And put him over, turn him over, and make, there we go. I like that one better. So we'll leave one up and one down, but that doesn't look right. So we got eyes going up. Make the nose a little smaller. pick up a nose, put him on there. And then I'm going to this piece. I'm going to roll it into a snake. He said, optimistically. And that's not a snake. Don't need a big snake because I don't want to overpower the face. We'll cut that short. You don't need to use this for a face. It's just an idea. In fact, you can make the eyes round or any shape you want. I'm just trying to get a face on my pumpkin. There we go. Now we've got a face on him. I'm pressing in, I'll press against the tile a little bit so we get everything well and firmly attached. Press down with a fingernail. There's my pumpkin with a face. Hey. Again, I'm going to take a little bit of my bronze. Again, it is so very little of the bronze. I don't need a lot of it. Maybe a little more than that. Pump it up the side, get my miscellaneous black pieces off the table. You don't have to use bronze for this. You could use burnt umber or a brown. Happen to have a lot of bronze clay around, so I use bronze. And again, we've got a stem we're working on here. And it's coming out in a really funny shape. I want him fairly uniform, so let me try this. Okay, that's working. Again, I'm going to cut him into several pieces. I like 6 for some reason. You don't ask. Looks like that'd be 5. Put my stems together. Pick them up. These together. I'd say that one's a little small, so it's going to work with 5. I got in there. Squeeze one together, see if I can get the other end to flare. Squeeze one in together. There we go. The other end's flaring a little bit. It gives me the top piece. The needle tool and press him down. Get some pressure into those. So it looks like it's moving into the grooves. This guy should be able to roll him up into a ball. Flatten him out. And stick him on the bottom there. Great. That worked. And again. An earring. Take that. Take my eye pin. Put a bend in it, like I always do. Get that eye pin firmly in my hand. And very gently but firmly pressing into the stem of my jack-o'-lantern now. Far enough in that he's going to hold. Right. I'll work that stem around, get it tight, seal up the hole. Check how it hangs. Oh, that hangs perfect. And now we've got a little jack-o'-lantern for an earring. It's a little large for an earring. My wife, that might work for some people. I can go back and make others the same size. Now, again, sometimes it's nice to put a little bit of color on it. And so I'm going to take some of my wife's decorating chalks. Please don't tell her. I've got a brown here. And I think I'm going to take one of my straight pumpkin earrings. There. I'm looking for this guy. Wife has all kinds of nice tools. You got some chalk, brown chalk. Highlight seams on my pumpkin. Stand out a little more. Let's see, that really does help. Especially if I can stay in the groove. That guy touched up. Be a little careful with the low and the chalk, because too much chalking is going to make a mess around the pumpkin. So the lesson is be patient doing this. Wipe up some of it. If I do it now, wait until it's baked. It's going to be a little harder. You want you to put a few patches here and there. I'll do that with all of them. So I'm making earrings. It's coming up. Not etching as deep, which is interesting. I wonder if I need to go back in and touch them up again. But let's see that putting that in there does accentuate the grooves in the segments of the pumpkin, which gives it more of a depth look, which is what it needs. He said as he's doing that. So you can see it actually does enhance the look of the pumpkin. I'm wiping it off with it is chalk, so I go over it with my thumb. I can get it a little more uniformly spread out, so it looks a little bit better. It's nice to touch that up here and there. Just I need to put a little more on this end. And that one got messed all together. Again, about a hint of chalk on that guy. Chalk to the base. And there we go. So with that, I've got 2 pumpkin earrings, 1 larger jack-o'-lantern earring. And just to help the ghost stand out, I've got my ghost earrings with blush. So that's today's demo. Hope everyone enjoyed it.